You hear me, Todd?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The purpose of today's meeting is to provide council an update on the Warwick emergency response and on the significant weather event of August 2023. Remind council of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. Does anybody have one to declare at this point in time? Seeing none. I want to welcome everybody who's tuning in to you through YouTube today. I'm now going to do our acknowledgement of ancestral lands. We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered here today, Township of Warwick, is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, as well as the many Indigenous nations in Ontario whose footsteps have marked them for centuries. We also wish to acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 29 and Treaty 25 territory signed by Chippewa chiefs and offer our respect and gratitude for these lands. Council, I'm going to go to number 5 on our agenda, and that's councilors' items. I'm going to start with Councillor Morris. Councillor Morris, will you please start us off?
Yeah. Like everybody else, I got numerous calls over the events that happened. We had a lot of truck traffic with four-wheelers going through the streets that had 1.5 feet of water and pushing more water onto these properties with wakes that caused more damage. I'm a little disappointed in that. The people of the community rallied together, neighbors helping neighbors. There's a lot of damage done. John Street, I have some questions for Andrew, but I'm wondering if maybe I'll leave them till a little later regarding drains, because no sense getting into them right now until the reports are done. But I just want to thank the township employees for their excellent work like that they've done. Nobody can handle 7 inches plus of rain. So that's all I have for right now until later. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Councillor Morris. Councillor Manny, did you have anything today?
Yeah, I'd like to start off with thanking the township employees as well. They did a great job over the weekend. I got to witness it firsthand right outside my front window. So it was excellent work and quick response by everybody. Same with the township themselves. The people are really rallying around everybody, and that's great to see. On that note, I don't have anything in particular. Same with Wayne, a lot of calls. And looking at the agenda today, I'm pretty sure we're going to be addressing any and all of it, and anything we don't as it goes along, I'll bring up. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Manning. And Councillor Kellenberg, did you have anything for today, sir?
Nothing really to add. Same thing. Lots of phone calls, and staff did an amazing job, the best they could do it under the circumstances. So that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Kellenberg. Just a few things from my standpoint, from information. A lot of it's in the report. Great cooperation from MPP McNaughton, literally reaching out to us right after the event, putting us in connection with the right people at different ministry levels. So the cooperation from his office to ours, through him to me, was very, very good. I appreciate that. Also want to thank all of the area Lambton County municipalities. Almost every one of them reached out in some way, offering their assistance and help, and for which actually today we've enjoyed the assistance of our neighbors from Plimpton, Wyoming, providing a grader as well as a man to operate that grader. Again, a lot of damage done throughout the whole community, whether you're in Warwick Village, we're in Watford, or in the township, the old township area, with roads washed away. And again, as Councillor Morris said, the cooperation from our residents helping each other out is greatly appreciated. We did jump on this actually on Wednesday night as the weather event was taking place with our emergency management team meeting. Probably the rain wasn't even completely done, but we already knew we were into a very, very bad situation. And we followed up. I think we've had 3 meetings of that same group in the last little while. I know Amanda is going to touch on that more as we get going through the report. So again, I just want to thank everybody for their cooperation, their patience. I know the other issue we're having in our community, and not just ours, is restoration companies are stretched in a very big way right now. And I've had some calls from folks where they actually literally haven't even heard from the companies as of yet. And it's causing some issues for them as well. So again, something like this doesn't happen very often when you get 8 inches of rain in a 4 or 5 hour period of time. But at the same time, we need to be there to try to support our residents. And that's one of the biggest reasons, as I was in communication with all council, that we called the emergency and made the declaration, because it does open some doors and avenues up for us when it comes to partnerships and funding opportunities once we get the tallies all put together. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get the money, but we're hopeful that we're going to recover some funds. So that's all for me. So thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody's patience throughout this event. I'm now going to ask Amanda. Amanda has it says verbal update on her agenda, but she did do a report as well. She managed to put that together. So it's a verbal update and a report from Amanda Gubbles, our CAO and Primary Community Emergency Management Coordinator. So Amanda, I'll give the floor over to you to give your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Case. As you noted, initially at the time of agenda publishing, we didn't have a report available, so it was added this afternoon. I would just like to present it today, given that it was added so late to the agenda. We felt it was important to have something for accountability and transparency, rather than just my verbal update for the public and media to view, providing an update. So the report that's provided is divided into a few sections. So one on just a current operations update, where we're at as a municipality in terms of operations, the financial recovery and assistance opportunities, and then also the status of the emergency declaration. So I may just touch on those 3 points and then we'll happy to take any questions. So as Mayor Case noted, the Emergency Control Group did convene on the night of the storm, August 23rd at 8:35, and has been continued to be engaged and meeting regularly since that time to deal with getting everything back up and running. So I've gone through each kind of department. Since the incident, our administration office has been taking some frontline customer service calls from our municipal residents, and we have a tracking log in place to make sure that we are getting back to everyone who submits a comment as timely as possible. We're also having regular emergency management group meetings and completing ongoing communications with as much as possible to ensure the public's aware of the municipality's actions. From our finance department, we've created a cost center to allocate and track all of our costs associated with the emergency, everything from overtime of our public works team, as well as additional gravel and other materials. Fire also was very active the night of the storm. We appreciate their service as well. Both departments out in full force, assisting the roads crew, putting up signage and responding to issues. But luckily, our fire department has been able to return back to regular operations. So continuing emergency response, but not necessarily engaged in flood mitigation or road closures 24/7 anymore. Garbage and recycling. So while our regular service was uninterrupted, our regular curbside collection, we have offered some augmented services at Twin Creeks landfill, partnering with them for some large waste and construction material drop off free of charge to the public. That was available Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and is also available today until 5 p.m. It will end today at 5 p.m. at that site. In addition, we've provided some waste bins outside of the Warwick Community Center and the ELCC for residential use for those impacted by the flood as well. Parks and Recreation, fortunately, all of our facilities had minimal impact. We experienced some water damage in the library, but our Parks and Rec team has worked to address those issues. And so we are minimally impacted in Parks and Rec. Planning and building services were uninterrupted. Public works and municipal drainage, obviously the most impacted area and ongoing impacted. So immediately following the event, we had a number of road washouts and our public works crews have been doing a great job since that day, trying to reopen. So first, close and mark all hazards with signage, and then now are able to focus on regrading, reopening, and addressing safety concerns. So they've been proactively working on that throughout the weekend. As Mayor Case said, we have received some reinforcements in our public works crew from Plimpton, Wyoming, which is wonderful. And they'll continue to do that. As of this moment, we still have 2 sections of road closed, a section of Kings Court and a section of Zion Line. Public Works is actively working on Kings Court today with gravel delivery to the site. And we are hopeful that opening will occur today or tomorrow. Yep, today or tomorrow. And of course, we'll communicate that publicly when that road is open and safe. And Zion Line has had some larger damage related to some structures on that road around the Bear Creek area. So we have requested an engineering and geotech assessment of that bridge and asphalt, and that is being undertaken today. So that's great news, and we should hear back about the safety hazards or safety to use it and or the scope of repairs for the future. We're hopeful, I'll say tomorrow would be my hope. But of course, we'll keep council and the public updated. And then we have started this week to get more municipal drain related requests. And so Andrew, as our public works and drainage superintendent, will be following up on all of those. In terms of our general infrastructure, water, sewer, and storm services, water was uninterrupted. The lagoon did complete an overflow release on the 23rd. Aqua Ontario Clean Water Agency supervised that and had all the appropriate and Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks approvals. Everything is functioning as is required. And then in terms of stormwater, obviously directly impacted as a result of the volume of rain we experienced. And we're working through, in addition to road repairs, checking all catch basins and making sure everything's clear for the future. In terms of next steps, the emergency committee, as well as our staff team has a list of next steps, which of course focuses on safety. So we're looking at reopening and repairing roads is kind of a first priority, as well as investigating any concerns that come into the public or come in from the public, either related to drains or other infrastructure, and completing those assessments for safety. So that's our priority of focus. We're also tracking all costs associated with the emergency and looking into financial assistance, both programs for the municipality itself to offset our costs, but also for members of the community to apply to offset costs. And I'll talk a bit more about those opportunities next. But one note first, we have made diligent efforts to try to ensure that the public is kept up to date on the response to the emergency, and we continue to issue media releases and social media and website updates as able. So we would encourage everyone to stay tuned online, or of course you can call our office and we're happy to provide an update on current status. In terms of financial recovery, we were contacted by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing quite early on, which was very helpful. And they made sure to advise us of 2 potential fundraising opportunities for the municipality. One is called the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program, or MDRA. That's the acronym, which would help municipalities can apply to, and the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing approves applications and or accepts applications. The municipality can submit all costs associated with emergency response. So repairing some of those capital works that we'll need to do, additional staff time associated with working through the weekend, that kind of thing. So we're tracking our costs, and we have initiated an application through the ministry. One of the steps that needs to occur to initiate that is actually for council to pass a resolution. So you will see with this report, I've included a few resolutions. The second resolution is related to this, just making a request that the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing activate the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program. That would be recommended for council's consideration today for that next step to happen. I just want to outline the threshold of that program is you only qualify if you your expenses related to an emergency are over 3% of your tax base. Based on our preliminary estimates, although we don't have a number, like 3% of our tax base is about $80,000. We expect to well exceed that threshold, even just with one structural improvement, we would be over that threshold. The other opportunity we're also looking into, and we have asked for an assessment from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, is the Disaster Recovery Assistance for Ontario's program, or DRAW. I don't know what that acronym is. And this is something that is, while the municipality has to initiate a review by the ministry, they will come and do an assessment. So that hopefully will be taking place soon. And it's open actually to members of the public to apply to if a municipality crosses the threshold. So I wanted council to know that that the program exists, that we are looking into an assessment, and that if we do qualify after that assessment takes place with the province, we will absolutely make sure to make that information available to the public. We will look at exploring information sessions as well with the province to make sure everyone in the community who might qualify would have the appropriate support and information to do that. So I wanted you to know that. And then also, as you know, the emergency committee did feel that declaring an emergency based on the volume of response required to the issue or to the events on August 23rd, we did declare an emergency. And something that, of course, we've been discussing since operations for the most part have returned to normal, although many people continue to be impacted in their personal property. Municipal operations are more similar to regular operations. Do we continue to be in a state of emergency? So I have provided some information to council on termination of an emergency and that process. So just a few facts I think you should know. Emergency declarations are typically terminated when recovery from the emergency is complete. And to date, the control group has kept the declaration in place because remediation is still actively underway on our public property. But there are some kind of milestones the control group identified as potentially items we would look to complete before removing the emergency declaration. And they're focused on two infrastructure improvements. One is that the safety assessment on the structures on Zion Line be completed, which, as I noted, is happening today, but we won't know the results until maybe tomorrow. And then the reopening of all municipal roadways with the exception of Zion Line, which is actually King's Court. And again, we anticipate that would be today or tomorrow. So if council wanted to discuss or contemplate providing direction to remove the emergency, which you can, emergencies can be terminated by the mayor or head of council as an individual or as by all of council by resolution. I have provided as part of the report a draft resolution which would direct that the emergency be terminated following those two infrastructure items. So for now, that's all I have, although happy to answer questions. And again, we are looking forward to continuing to support the community and council, and really thank our Public Works and Fire teams for their response so far. Thanks, Mayor Case.
Thank you, Amanda. And this is, again, a very serious situation that we've been dealing with here since last Wednesday. So now I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Morse.
Yeah, Amanda, you mentioned the other program where residents could get assistance. Now, I read some of the fine print on it, but not all of it. And I'm not saying I know what it really amounts to, but we need to get that information out to people that don't have insurance on Facebook or something. Like I'm worried if people that had sanitary backup won't get the proper cleaning because they're afraid they'll have to pay for it. Can we get that out to these people so they know there may be some hope coming?
Thank you, Councillor Morris. That's a wonderful question, and that's exactly what we intend to do. However, we are unable. I'm cautious about releasing. So one, all the information is available online on this program. Anyone can access it at any time. And the link is included in the report. But in order for us to promote it as an option to our community, I think it would first be prudent to have the province complete the assessment of our community. They have to approve us as being an eligible community based on our experience with the emergency, and then local people can apply. So we have requested that the province come and do the assessment here. And then pending those assessment results, we absolutely will make sure everyone knows about the program and its parameters, so they have the opportunity to apply. But just promoting the information today without the assessment, I think might create some confusion if we end up not qualifying through the provincial channels. But noted, and thank you. Yes, that's a focus area.
Any other questions from council? Yes, Councillor Manning.
Just a little bit of clarification. So, excuse me, with the recovery funding. So do we have to, can we only recover what we use while in the state of emergency, or can we retroactive? So us like closing it too preemptively, we could end up costing ourselves some funding. No.
That is also a great question, Councillor Manning, sorry, Councillor Manning. No, so currently municipal funding opportunities, this program is not tied to the status of your emergency declaration. So even if the municipality had chosen not to declare an emergency and still was doing all the mitigating things, we would still qualify for the program. So our potential for funding is not tied to whether we are in a declared emergency or not, but great question.
Maybe on that note, Amanda, maybe you should explain, and I can do it as well if you don't want to, but the declaration, what that did give us, that gave us the opportunity for partnerships to be able to do things financially, to obviously ask for some funding from the province. So that's really why we declared, because it gave us those opportunities as we needed it for manpower and all those other opportunities. The programs, as Amanda said, you still can apply for a lot of them, but when you declare the emergency, it does open the door to things other than those programs, just to be clear. So anyways, I hope that does. Did I catch all of it, Amanda?
May I expand?
Please.
Thanks, Mayor Case. So you're absolutely right. Declaring an emergency does provide additional flexibility to the municipality in terms of procurement. So we can more quickly procure things without going through our RFP or 3-quote process that our usual purchasing policy requires. It also would allow us, we didn't in this case, use any outside volunteers and to have them covered under our insurance, but we weren't sure at the outset whether or not we would require that. It turns out we didn't, but it also allows us to open up a partnership with other municipalities, but also raises public awareness. So it also, raises the awareness of the issue and demonstrates to the community that we understand so many people are impacted, and we're trying to work towards addressing their issues as well.
Anybody else have any questions at this time? Yes, Councillor Morris.
Well, I guess now I'm going to start asking Andrew some questions on drains. Now, I've blown up this Watford map the best I could with drains. Now we have a Brown Jarrett drain and a Duncan drain. There's one behind John Street, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's that line that isn't marked, but it needs a ditch clean out. Have we, or any of the departments, inspected these drains where all this water went?
Andrew.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. So just a little bit of clarification, the drain that you're saying that's behind John Street, there are, like you say, there are a couple. Are you speaking about the north branch of the Brown Jarrett?
No, it'd be more the South Branch or the Duncan drain. It was more towards the south end of town that I got the call about, and I went and had a look at it. And it appears that the drain just needs a massive clean out. I think we should inspect these where all our stormwater goes. And if they do need an emergency cleanout, get it in place before we have another incident.
Thank you for the clarification. Absolutely. That's something that can be done. The Duncan drain specifically, I don't have off the top of my head the last time it was cleaned, but the Brown Jarrett drain has been cleaned in the last 5 years. There was an extensive clean out on that drain, but I'll certainly look into the Duncan drain.
Thank you. And the south branch of the Jarrett drain was also done?
South branch, I would have to look into to see when the last time it was done, but it was not done as part of the north branch. I do know that.
Okay, anybody else have any questions on the report or any other questions they may want to ask at this point in time? Okay. Seeing none, just maybe to add to what Councillor Morris said, I also had the inquiry about that drain as well. And did mention the one to Andrew at one of our meetings earlier today or after one of our meetings today. So obviously we'll take a look at that and we'll see where we go from there. But again, when you get 8 inches of rain in 5 hours, it's very hard to control that flow of water. Unfortunately, I don't think there's an infrastructure system in Canada that could actually keep up with such an event. So yeah, just again, just to once again, I want to thank the County of Lambton for their help. They provided us with some signage and some resources during the event. Again, our public works team, it's been mentioned many times, went over and beyond the call of duty. We appreciate the fact they put a lot of hours in, including some weekend hours, to make sure that they got our roads in some kind of decent repair. And they're still continuing to work to try to get the rest of the road system put back in order and up and running again. And I also want I want to thank Warwick and Watford fire stations and the men who came out and assisted. It's been mentioned many times as well, but very, very much appreciated. The community really did come together during this event. So there are some recommendations attached to Amanda's report. And the first one is the one at the very top. And how does council wish to deal with that particular recommendation? It's one that we really need to put in place to keep the process and the going of trying to get some funding and some opportunities. How does council wish to deal with number one? Councillor Manning. Thank you, Councillor Manning. And that's seconded by Councillor Morris. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And then we have recommendation number 2. How does council wish to deal with recommendation number 2? Again, this really is the meat in the sandwich that really gets things rolling. And it also gives our CAO delegated authority to verify and attest to the accuracy of the attached claim. And that's very important at this time. Councillor Morris, you're making that motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion to proceed with recommendation 2 as indicated.
Thank you. And then do we have a seconder to that? So I'm looking to see, I don't see Councillor. Yes, Councillor Manning. Thank you. Any further discussion on that particular recommendation? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And then there's the third, and I'll be honest with you, one thing I do want to do is I want to thank Township Council right off the bat. When this happened, I was in touch with every one of the councillors individually, I think 3 times. And I do appreciate the advice and guidance throughout this whole weather emergency. And when we called the declaration, of course, everybody was in the loop. So the one thing I would like to do with the spirit of cooperation, there is a third recommendation here for council to direct the mayor, being myself, to call off the declaration if the things in this report are met as far as those other roadways are opened up. And that would be done tomorrow at noon. And we think we're still on, I guess we still think we're within that timeline to do that. I'll ask Andrew maybe to comment on that.
Thank you, Mayor Case. Yeah, I believe we'll be for the Zion line. We'll be, I anticipate they'll have the report drawn up by tomorrow or Wednesday. And then, yeah, I think from there we'll have a pretty good idea where we're going to be headed.
So maybe we won't put an exact time on that particular one. What we'll do is maybe state that sometimes hopefully in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. And again, I do have the authority to do it, but it's always nice to talk to council and get their advice And again, their counsel on this particular thing. So maybe we'll just, maybe we can leave it at that unless council would like to make a motion that allows that to happen in the next 48 hours, if that's the case, or I do have the authority to do it. It's whatever council's pleasure is. Councilor Morse.
I'd like to make a motion that the mayor, when needed, can revoke the state of emergency and make sure that it does not affect our application to the government or anything like that by removing it.
You, Councilor Morris. Do we have a seconder to that? Councilor Manning? Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And just for the record, for everybody tuning in and folks that are here, there is no in-camera session. It was put on here, but there is no in-camera session for today's meeting. That is not something that's needed today. Again, we want to make sure that we're completely transparent and open with the public when it comes to this. And I don't believe there's any new business at this particular time, Madam Clerk. No. So then what I would do is I would ask for us to look at our bylaws then, please. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Case, the resolution is that bylaw 96 of 2023 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Do I have a mover? Councilor Morris, seconded by Councilor Manning. All in favor? That is carried. Now we need a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
Sure, I'll
Moving
make
that
that
and seconded by Councilor Morris. All in favor? That is carried. Well, thank you very much for everybody that tuned in through YouTube and everybody was here present in the audience today. I hope that this has been informative for the community and we will continue to update and communicate